You're listening to Gym Owner Jams.
Welcome to another episode of Gym Owner Jams. Happy New Year. We hope 2023 is a good one. As the Open has been moved forward, we just felt it's a great time to talk about the Open and what it means for us as a gym and why we'd like you guys to enter. And then we're just going to give you guys some brief feedback on our draft and how it came about and what you can expect this year. Kyle, what does the Open mean to you?
So the Open for me is quite important for personally to do the Open because it's good market to see where your fitness is at the beginning of the year. For the members, I like it because of the fact that they bring those repeats in and you get the opportunity to retest workouts that you've done in the past. And then just generally the actual competition that we get to have in the box where we have members coming out on Friday nights and Saturday mornings. Just the vibe is very, very enjoyable for most people, and it tends to ignite a little bit of passion and fire in each person, and it keeps them training for a little bit longer.
You've been in the Open for like 20 years. How did your whole experience change? So what was that, 2013, 14, first one?
Yeah, first one was 2014, yeah. So I don't know how many years that is, I can't even work it out, but no, there, thanks Mike. Jeez, fine, be that way. It's been 9 years, 9 long years. It's been amazing. I think the Open, each year the perspective has changed a little bit. I mean, since they brought in the qualifiers, you stop trying to be the fittest in the box and you start you start trying to qualify for that 10%, at the end of the day. Mike doesn't believe me, but you start trying to qualify for that 10%. What I think I've started to realize about it is that there's no pressure in terms of year on year coming in there and setting markers that you have to do. I think just because things are ever changing, new movements are being added all the time, it's just a good way to start the year. For me, it gives me a goal to press to early on, so it kind of keeps me thinking through December, but it also gives me a benchmark in the beginning of the year to say, right, actually these are the movements I want to work on, this is the path I want to take for this year. So yes, of course it is a little bit stressful, and the competition's always a little bit stressful, but so is any competition, But I've tried my best on, in my personal capacity at least, to try and take a different approach where it's not stressing me out throughout the week, and it's not this be all and end all, and try to make it like a one and done type of situation where you come in there, you give your best, whatever happens, and you try and take in the experience, because it really is an awesome vibe. I think that's something you forget, but I look forward to that every year. It's the vibe of people around, people screaming, people having a lack of beer afterwards, that type of thing. I think that's what the Open's really about.
Yeah, I think for me, it's interesting because it's definitely the vibe that's what gets me to most competitions, and obviously the beer, so it's not going to complain about that. What I find interesting is like just, I've been through this whole CrossFit journey for a couple of years, and it feels to me like that's almost the only marker I have is how did you do in the Open. I can distinctly remember my first Open. I couldn't string 2 double unders together, so there was a workout with overheads, shoulder to overheads or ground to overheads and double unders, and I did like 50 reps in 13 minutes because I couldn't do double unders. And then just to see the progression from there, that's really cool.
That you gave up for the workout and walked out the door.
That's the one, yes. Where I told Nick my shoulder was sore and I just left. He didn't expect me back. But then every year from there, you build towards something, you progress, and then you regress, which has happened in the last couple of years. But it's good to still see that and keep yourself accountable. I mean, the regression happened. Yes, there was COVID, so that was my excuse. Is it a good enough excuse? Probably not. But it's a humbling experience, and it's good to do that, to test yourself. For me, anyone that has just started CrossFit or is in this journey for the first year, you have to do the Open as your benchmark, or your sort of just telling yourself where you're at in this fitness journey, because I can guarantee you next year it's going to be so much better, and you just feel that, okay, the work I've put in, it's been worth it. So that's my reason for doing the Open. Mikey?
Well, obviously it's just the road to big games for me. But,
Yep.
And in all honesty, it's that community aspect. It's that person that didn't know they could do a pull-up before they got into the Open, and they put themselves under a little bit of pressure. I think at the end of the day we do unfortunately hype ourselves up, like Nick was saying, to you know, you're waiting up on the Thursday night to see what that workout is, when it is just another workout, and we need to treat it like it's just another workout at the end of the day. Stop putting that pressure. But that having people screaming at you and shouting for you like that, for me, is like, I crave that year after year, to be there on a Saturday or a Friday night where you've got your gym shouting at you and trying to get you to that first muscle up, to that first handstand push up, whatever that movement might be.
But it's much more about actually just putting yourself out there, testing where you are right now, regardless of what you've been through in the last year, and just lighting a little bit of a fire, you know. And I think
be realistic about where you are and where your fitness is. It's great to have goals and things like that, but be realistic.
But stop. I think a lot of people should have a look at what the Open is supposed to be fun, you know, and the Open is this big scary boogeyman at the end of the day for some people, and it's almost it doesn't make any sense at the end of the day, because there's nobody actually putting that pressure on you except yourself. And it should be treated exactly what it's there for. It's a benchmark. It's a start point for the year, and it's a nice way for you to find your feet for the year, you know, especially if you want to do some competitions. It's a passive way to enter competitions for the year.
And that's where you mentioned lighting the fire, and I think that's exactly what it should be. It is the start of the journey for experienced athletes, the kickstart to the year. For people that's never done competition, this could be that fire starter, because it just is an easy way in, and then you start doing competition, you realize exactly the same thing. You don't have to be the serious athlete at an in-person event. It's all about having fun. I mean, we are 20, 30, 40, 50-year-olds. You are paying for something to enjoy it. Yes, there's obviously an element of training and lying on the floor, but if you don't enjoy it, what's the point? And I think that's what we're trying to do now with adding the draft. And I mean, this is the second year we've done the draft. It's absolutely about getting these mini teams competing against each other in the most friendly way, but then also making it fun. It gives you an opportunity to sort of meet and greet up with some of the members you might not have had a chance to. They're in different classes, and it gives you that little bit of competition. I mean, competition, when it's healthy, it's never a bad thing, and that's what we're trying to do. Little funny points for certain things, for being a team of the week. That's not going to be the team with the best performances across the board. That's going to be the team that shouted at their specific teammates the loudest, for example, or dressing up like a bunch of clowns for getting those points. And that's where I think that's the competition element I think we are trying to achieve with the draft. I don't know if you guys want to add something there, but I'm very excited about the draft. I mean, Landre's team was pretty useless last year, so he gets first pick this year.
I can't say much. I was second last.
Yeah, so and we can build on this thing. So you might be in a different team this year as a member, but you know, there might be some familiar faces in your team, and maybe, you know, you wanted to be in the blue team because they looked phenomenal. And this year that might be the chance.
Who were they? Who were the blue team?
That was the oldest coach in the box. I think he's turning 40 this year. Nick Chalmers was the captain. And then he had some amazing people in his team. I know there's a chalky guy that was there.
Did the blue team win?
No, but winning is irrelevant.
No.
Winning is irrelevant.
Podium finish. We were podium. We were on the podium, I think. We were.
Third.
Carl, anything you want to add on the Open, on the draft? I mean, specifics, what people could look forward to?
I think people just need to understand that there's a little bit of anxiety about it. I don't want to enter the Open, but I will do the internal competition. I think it's just important for the members to know that it's exactly the same workout. Nothing's changing. You're still going to do the Open workout, whether it's the internal competition or the Open. So not being intimidated by the internal competition, you may as well do the
real thing.
The real thing is the main thing for me. And then I just think it's going to be very, very cool, especially the draft next week, Friday, for everyone to come out and have a look, come and have a braai, meet all the people that you haven't met before. If you haven't been to the Randburg facility, it's nice to come and have a look. And then it's a friendly competition. I think it's going to be lots of fun.
Also, all the coaches are going to be doing the Open, which is important to know. So the members, just remember that the same anxieties you guys might be worrying about, the same stresses, we put ourselves in that exact same position.
So, and for the people that didn't do it last year, the way we try and incorporate this thing where everyone's score will count is the fact that there will be points awarded for the people that do RX and people that do the scale division. So it's two separate leaderboards. So if you're a scale athlete, you can make up just as much points for your team as an RX athlete. If you'll get then a point adjustment based on gender, based on the amount of time you've done the open, and based on age. So if you are a lady in her 40s or deep 40s, 50s, and you've only been doing CrossFit for a couple of months, you will have a significantly better score than someone that's maybe in their 20s and has done CrossFit for a while.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it interesting. That's for me what makes the draft interesting is your number one athlete in the gym might not be the one that scores 100 points every week, because for them they might need to do 10 reps or they need to do 22 reps, and you might only need to do 9-10 reps and you'll get the same score.
Yeah.
So that's where I think the coaches, and maybe last year some of these coaches that can't do math struggled with it specifically. I mean, the green team again, good example. Striker last year he did well. He picked the ideal team. It's not to say that's going to happen again. So I'm quite excited to see what.
Before we finish, can you maybe just chat about how we're going to change the draft this year to make it so that the way that the picks are done and things like that? Just that.
So last year it was sort of a blanket. Everyone that was that signed up got chosen regardless of rounds. This year we're just going to make it slightly different, where we'll have sort of an open round or two, and then we'll have specific rounds. So the third round might only be people in their 40s. And the fourth round might only be people that's been doing CrossFit for a year. So there's going to be specific parameters to this thing, just so that we, even though it's not, like I said, it's not necessarily the team that wins, has the best athletes that wins the competition. It's just going to allow elite athletes to be paired in teams with athletes from different ages and that's been here for maybe 6 months. So we're going to spice it up a bit, trying to get some of the teams to have Sunninghill, Norwood and Randburg members in them. Try and blend it as much as possible for diversity's sake, but also just because I think that's how you really build sort of team camaraderie in these type of things.
Build the community between all three gyms.
We don't want one team with 6 people in it or 10 people in it that's training together every day. That's not really the ideal. I mean, and then just sort of closing off, I think the draft, I think it worked last year. I think it's great to socialize. We brought the two gyms together. It was in a period where it was new. This year, we're going to build on that even further. And the emphasis is on fun, community, and just cucking off together, like Nick was saying. Regardless of fitness, I can promise you, if you've been doing this for 10 years or 6 months, the outcome will be the same. You might not have the same amount of reps, but you'll look the same after a workout. If someone new walks in here, they would not know the difference, and that's what excites me.
And then just Friday nights here at Randburg, the first 2 Friday nights. Saturdays at Norwood. Then the last Saturday we'll do at Randburg, so no Friday night on that last weekend, so it's 3 weeks long, guys. If you have any issues in terms of doing a workout, just come chat to one of us. We will figure it out. I know there's commitments on a Saturday or Friday night. We will figure it out. Ideally, we'd like you to be part of the whole vibe and what's happening on a Friday night, Saturday, but we will make exceptions if you really need us to. So please don't let that prevent you from partaking in the whole event itself.
Yeah.
So just
And then just quickly to touch base on the equipment list. I know they released it. Some people were a bit concerned about some of the heavier kettlebells and dumbbells that have been released. They released the equipment list for the Open and for quarterfinals. So the take from the sort of people that were in the programming team was that your 32 kilogram kettlebells and the heavier dumbbells are only expected in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, the way the Open's been going, I don't foresee technical movements popping up in the first 3 workouts. So ring muscle ups, if you have them, great. I wouldn't expect to see them in the first 3 weeks. And if they're there, you can scale with me, because that's not something I have at the moment either.
I also think if they do pop up, they generally like that last workout last year. What they did is they tend to put that technical movement right at the end of the workout.
So you gotta do some work
So
to
you get through pretty much, and most people tend to get capped by the time they get there anyway. So you're going to get through the majority of the workout before that bottleneck might come up if it does.
Well, I mean, if you look just over the Open history over the last couple of years, they've definitely started to do that with technical gymnastics movements, and then obviously any sort of heavy weightlifting. Look at where all the heavy weightlifting has been. It's either at the end of the workout, or it builds up from really like a super manageable weight for 90% of the population, to the last weight, which is not doable for a games athlete.
Yeah.
It builds through the workout. So that for those are the two things I think intimidate people the most is I can't do the weight or I can't do the movements. They've definitely shown over the last couple of years that the goal is for everyone to be able to start the workout RX, and then there might be a sticking point in one of the workouts, but majority of the workout you will be able to do majority
It's
of
got to
the
be fitness. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what we've seen. So just maybe in closing, one movement you'd want to see in the first 3 weeks, Carl?
I'd want to see.
Yeah.
But at the moment, having beer drinking, not CrossFit at the moment. No, I think I would maybe hope for a ring muscle up. I doubt it'll come up, but it's one of my favorite movements. I'm not particularly good at it, but I enjoy doing it. So.
Not that I want to see, but I think CrossFit threw a hint out the other day. I think we're going to see pistols in the workout. They did throw a hint on the group the other day, so I'm putting that prediction out already.
I mean, I got to go with a good old handstand push-up.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm hoping it's going to be in there.
I don't want to handstand push-up because they always make it so hard. Can't they just be standard ones? Why do you have to give us a box? Make it hard. Or like, just make it normal, please.
Carl just wants to rest.
For me, it's going to be anything where I can beat Gavin. So hopefully like a heavy deadlift. Because I think that's about the only thing I have on him at the moment.
Do you know how you're going to beat Gavin? Don't enter the open.
All right, we're going to close it off there. Nick will take it away with his first dad joke of the year.
So it takes me 5 minutes to walk from my house to the pub. It takes me 30 minutes to walk from the pub to my house. The difference is staggering.
I started laughing before I said the joke. It's like, but it's because he looks at me like this. Serious.
And go.
Well, clap again.
Well, if you look at it from the perspective of history, if you want to know what's going to be in that weekend's open, normally Carl gets it right in the week and he
Yeah,
forces
on a
you to do
Wednesday.
1,000 of that same movement on a Wednesday. And that tends to be the movement we end up falling on, I guess, on the weekend. So I don't know why he does it. He hates us all. That's why.